It's time even after our clan was destroyed by the demonic sect. The reason we struggled to survive was for our revenge. It won't take long before they notice the sentry's disappearance. I'll finish this before that happens to...
It's noisy outside.
Think that you're peacefully meditating while your subordinates are dying, you're heartless as usual. I could say the same thing about running amok without knowing anything. How heartless. That is how one reaches the pinnacle of material arts.
You know a man would care about the insects beneath his feet as he climbs a mountain? No, he only stares at the peak.
What nonsense. I, Kang Wunchun, will kill you with my own hands today, heavenly demon. Heavenly lighting fist. Cook.
Is that all you've got? Heavenly blood-tied art, watch and learn.
Sword chi with his hand.
I will send you over to your father today. Your finches.
Cloud dragon fist. Transcend.
My steel tempering, which makes my fists harder than steel lost to your bare hands.
Ha. Ha. Don't you dare talk about my father with that dirty mouth of yours. You haven't forgotten all the evil deeds you've committed in that time, have you? This is the rage of all those people.
I should have wipes out the roots of the Cloud Dragon sect back then. I don't know what kind of enlightenment you received, but I'm honestly surprised I can't believe you broke through my heavenly demon blood surge art. You've left me with no other choice.
Is that an elixir? If he drinks an elixir, if that amount at once, he'll undergo demonic chi deviation.
Child, it's time you disappear.
I'm too late.
This barrier? This is... Sorry, I'm a bit late, aren't I? I got caught lazing around. I
Great mage.
told you not to call me a stuffy nickname like that. Anyway, is this the nemesis you were talking about?
He is one who claims to have come from another world. If it weren't for him, I would have died helplessly. Wait, wasn't this a regular Murim story? Why did a random high-level mage from a different world appear out of nowhere? Haha. I was having fun reading it too. What a mood killer. Is the author out of his mind? A monster world out of nowhere. Does that make any sense? My name is Jin Seonwoo, and I am 23 years old.
BRO, you up? Let's play.
Does this bastard not have anyone else to play with? Like many folks who have completed their service. Before being discharged, I had a good life plan. I wanted to learn certificates while preparing to transfer to college, and study all the things I could not study while I was in the military. But I missed too many fun things in the society. I still have a bit of money left. But should I go now? Yamtorna As, a main novel, fantasy novel. A lot of things happen. One of which is naturally being the protagonist of a Murim novel.
Oh, Seonwoo, is that you? You gonna log into Loyal Ground again today?
Yes, give me 10 hours for now. I've also sunk hours into Loyal Ground. Even though I do not have a clan, I play with a couple of other players and clear dungeons with them. After being discharged, I started spending my time in the PC cafe and on these routines. I am logging in now. Wait for me in the lobby. I have made some small change from the tournaments they occasionally hold in internet cafes too. The game goes as follows. 100 players drop from the plane. Collect the weapons scattered across the map. You will be removed if your HP is reduced to 0. Only one person left. Only see 2 people 100 meters from me. Wah, there really are only 2 people left. Damn, you're loud. You already died once. Why are you still hyped so much? Alata's farm for now and find safe zone. We need to start from the circle first before moving.
Haha. I got carried so hard, thanks, bro.
Yeah, queue up already. Should lock in and start studying tomorrow.
Are you studying well? I sent your academy fees and some extra money, so eat something good.
Thanks, Mom. I'm going to sleep soon. Hey, I'm not gonna play anymore starting tomorrow.
Huh? Why? You promised to go to a clan war with me.
Can't. I need to start going to an English academy tomorrow. Feel guilty every time I see my mom's texts. I've been living like this for months now. People with mysterious powers have been spotted abroad. These people are calling themselves players. Huh? What is this? This page doesn't exist. Did the video suddenly get deleted? I'll just go to sleep.
Bro, can you help me prepare for the clan war today?
Should I help him in one last game? What? What is this light? Where the hell am I? Upon stepping into the mysterious portal, Jin Seowoon was immediately disoriented by a flash of light. He questioned, "What was that light? Did I really get punished just for skipping one day of studying?" Moments later, he opened his eyes and found himself surrounded by loud voices in an unfamiliar place. Groaning from the sudden noise, he mumbled weakly, "Ugh, why is it so loud?" As his vision adjusted, Seowoon noticed a chaotic scene, dozens of people fighting each other in strange clothing. The language was unfamiliar, and he initially assumed it was some sort of cosplay event or a bizarre dream. Looking around, he whispered to himself, "Where am I?" Suddenly, a large screen appeared before him, flashing the message, 100 players detected. Thinking he was hallucinating, Seowoon froze. But then, a large statue in front of him began to glow. A whisper echoed in his mind. "Initializing system." Cold sweat dripped down his face. The confusion deepened. Another message followed. "Language synchronization. 100% complete." To his surprise, the voices around him shifted. Everyone was now speaking in fluent Korean. Seowoon blinked in shock. "Hey, everyone's speaking my language now," he muttered. Nearby, a confrontation erupted. An elf-like figure shouted at a zombie-looking man, accusing him of causing their current situation. The man denied it, and tensions escalated. "You sure are shameless. I won't be fooled by your words anymore," said the elf, eyes filled with fury. The zombie man replied coldly, "Whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. All of you will kneel before the Demon King's power." The elf snapped, "Then as an archmage, I promise, I'll kill you right here and take the Demon King down next." He cast a spell. Escrow-style lightning. The bolt struck directly, but had no effect. The zombie man stood unfazed. The elf's eyes widened in disbelief. "So, it was you who dragged me here," he hissed. Jin Seo-woon, watching from a distance, was shaken. This is too realistic to be a dream. Suddenly, a robotic voice rang out. "Beginning the game. Difficulty: easy. Objective: reach top 90. Map: capital of the King Kingdom. Rewards will be granted to top 10 players and above. Tutorial skipped." Another message followed. In the waiting room, player attacks are neutralized. A holographic map appeared, showing the vast game area. A female system voice explained, "Welcome to Cloyd Survival. This game will span 100 in-game years. Each real day, the map will gradually shrink. Exiting the boundaries will result in severe consequences. The game continues until only one survivor remains. Elimination or completion of the game will result in your return to your original world. Players who fail to reach the top 90 will not be allowed to re-enter Cloyd Survival. You will descend to a location of your choice with the assistance of Arga's gaze. Items may be found in those locations to aid your survival. May luck be with you." Seo-woon stood in silence, visibly sweating. Is this a dream? Loyal grounds? But if it's a dream, can I still die here? Just then, a stranger with messy hair approached and glared at him. "Hey, why are you just standing there? Where are you from?" the man asked aggressively. Seo-woon remained silent, scanning the room. The man, irritated, pointed a sword at him. "Are you ignoring me? I asked where you're from." A system voice interrupted. "Game starting in 3, 2. The man glared. "Why are you laughing? Are you insane?" Seo-woon grinned. "Why wouldn't I laugh? I'm dreaming. Such a fun dream. With my knowledge of the log ability, defeating bastards like you and surviving will be easy." Cloyd Survival. Day 1. Begin. Players began descending across the map. Seo-woon noticed many landing in crowded, item-rich zones. As expected, crowded areas have more loot, but they're risky. I'll start at the outskirts. He spotted a small house and shouted, "Descend!" Seo-woon landed with motion sickness, making it hard to see who else arrived with him. He rushed into the house and locked the door behind him. Breathing heavily, he muttered, "If that sword-wielding bastard followed me here, I'm dead." Peeking through the window, no one was in sight. He got up and began searching the house for items. His leg hit something heavy. Looking down, item acquired. Heavy crossbow. Though difficult to carry, it was better than nothing. He picked up nearby arrows and instinctively knew how to use them. "As a former South Korean Army sergeant, this is nothing," he said confidently. He pulled the lever and fired. Thud. The arrow launched and embedded itself into the wall with force. A smile crept across his face. "This'll come in handy if I master it." Continuing his search, Seo-woon found a glowing blue scroll. Item acquired. Small healing scroll. Ripping the scroll heals injuries instantly. He was amazed. Healing items, just by ripping paper? He made a mental note to collect more recover. Next, he noticed a glowing book on a bookshelf. Item acquired. Black Star Leader's Martial Arts Manual. Allows projection of dark energy through fingers. A prompt asked if he wanted to learn it. Curious, Seo-woon agreed. The book dissolved in glowing light. A sudden sensation overcame him. Injuries appeared on his hand, part of the learning process. Grabbing a fork from a nearby table, Seo-woon concentrated. A black aura formed around the fork. He hurled it. Thwack! It pierced into the wall like a bolt. A wicked grin formed on Seo-woon's face. "I've learned martial arts. In this game, I might actually survive." Seo-woon took the spoon out from the wall. A small smile appeared on his face as he thought to himself, "Nice." The fact that martial arts books existed in this place led him to believe that there must also be magic books. Regardless, he was now certain that Cloyd Survival and Loyal Ground were from the same game. Determined to explore every corner, Seo-woon decided to search the entire area before relocating. Night had already fallen while he was still farming. and now he needed to quickly find a place to hide. His eyes widened when he noticed that only one house had a light on. The fact that the light is on can only mean two things, he whispered to himself. Either there's a rare item hidden inside, or someone's already there. Cautiously, Seo-woon slowly entered the house. He wasn't sure how many players had landed near him, but if someone was inside, they would either be a complete newbie or a seasoned pro. The first floor was silent. He didn't hear anything. Sweat began to form on his face as he thought, are they hiding on the second floor? Even so, he had his weapon and Black Star chi palms. He was confident. Pro or not, he could handle it. He started walking up the stairs slowly, readying his crossbow as he took aim. But what he saw next confused him. A lantern, glowing gently. Is this a trap? He wondered, noticing a nearby room. Seo-woon kicked the door open and entered, only to find it empty. Letting out a deep sigh, he dropped to his knees and muttered, I just put on a show all by myself. Relieved, he caught his breath. While rummaging through the room, he opened a drawer and discovered a ring. Picking it up, he muttered, Is this an item too? A window popped up in front of him, showing the stats. Ring of Strength plus 20. Increases user's strength by 20 when equipped. Just by wearing the ring, he became stronger. Seo-woon immediately slipped it onto his finger, and the ring began to glow. His body felt noticeably lighter. He could barely feel the weight of his crossbow anymore. Confused, Seo-woon opened his status screen. A transparent interface appeared in front of him. His stats were still pathetic, and his class was listed as martial artist, likely because he had learned a martial art. Still, he grinned. This ring is pretty cool. Compared to when I started with nothing. Heading back to the first floor, he decided to take a better look around. That's when he found another ring. This one had a different description. Ring of Subspace Storage. Allows user to store and retrieve items using a mental command. To store an item, hold it and think the word subspace. To retrieve, touch the ring with the opposite hand while thinking of the item. Note: if subspace is full, no more items can be stored. Seo-woon wore the ring, and another window appeared confirming the effect. He tested it. Is this like an inventory system? He muttered. He said the word subspace, and a strange glowing space opened up in front of him. Though the sensation was bizarre, it was a relief. He didn't have to carry everything anymore. He put his crossbow into the subspace and grinned. It'd be so convenient to have this in real life. He began to wonder. What if I could bring items back to the real world? As he looked through the interface again, he was sure there had to be a kill log. Eventually, he found it. Only one player had been eliminated so far. He originally wanted to farm until only 90 players were left. And with the luck he'd had, that plan seemed possible. He had managed to search houses and gather lots of consumables, along with hidden weapons to combine with his Black Star chi palms. Now he was debating whether to move or stay until daylight. The strong players he had seen in the waiting room were surely prowling through the night. At his current level, he didn't stand a chance in a direct confrontation. But if he hid and made it into the top 10, he could earn more points like today. Looking out the window, he muttered, There'll be fewer people out at night anyway. He decided to explore one more location before sunrise. Oddly enough, even though he had been moving constantly, he didn't feel tired at all. However, he did feel hungry and thirsty. Maybe Cloyd's survival is closer to real life than I thought, he said quietly. He hadn't seen any food so far, but he remained hopeful. Surely there's food in the city, right? According to the map, it should be nearby. But there were no houses in sight. Suddenly, a howl pierced the silence. Seo-woon froze in shock. A wolf? The sound grew louder. He instinctively ran to hide, ducking behind a nearby tree. Sweat poured down his face as he peeked around the trunk. A massive wolf appeared. It's a werewolf, he breathed. Without warning, the beast lunged, smashing its claw at him. Seo-woon barely dodged the blow as the tree behind him splintered. Another wolf had spotted him now. This is a PvP game. I didn't think there'd be monsters, he cursed. If I had known, I would have just stayed put. Seo-woon ran for his life. He spotted a house and rushed inside, slamming the door shut behind him. His breathing was heavy, heart pounding in his ears. The sound of the wolves hadn't stopped. They were right outside. Peeking out the window, he saw multiple wolves sniffing around, clearly tracking his scent. Seo-woon gripped his crossbow tightly and prepared for the first strike. He aimed carefully and fired at one of the wolves. The arrow burned on impact. Thanks to the ring, he could now fire with one hand. But another wolf had already spotted him, and it was charging. Its claw slammed into the door, breaking part of it, and a gash opened on Seo-woon's face. He tried to run, but the wolf blocked his path. He fired another arrow, but the beast caught it mid-air with one paw. Seo-woon staggered back. The wolf leapt at him. "Is this how I'm going to be eliminated?" he thought in panic. "No, not yet!" he shouted. In desperation, he opened his subspace and pulled out the spoon. Channeling Black Star Chi palms, he struck the wolf head-on. The energy surged through him, enhancing his strength. With one powerful blow, he killed the beast. "I can't afford to lose to a mere underling," he muttered. Following a desperate battle, the wolf vanished into particles of light. Seo-woon exhaled deeply, muttering, "I thought I was done for." Dropping to his knees, he silently thanked God, relieved that he had secretly stashed a throwing dagger earlier. He had been moments away from defeat by mere mobs. While catching his breath, Seo-woon noticed something drop from the fallen wolf. It was a mob drop, but to his disappointment the loot was only a bottle of water and a piece of jerky. Still hungry, he began eating the jerky while surveying his surroundings. During his scan of the area, Seo-woon discovered a piece of armor. Holding it up, he wondered aloud, "Is this like a bulletproof vest from Loyal Ground?" The armor looked oversized, but upon equipping it, it adjusted perfectly to Seo-woon's size. A system message appeared. "Advanced orichalcum breastplate has been equipped. Fire and wind magic resistance has greatly increased." Delighted to see that this armor boosted more than just a couple of stats, Seo-woon continued exploring. Suddenly, he felt something touch his leg. But when he looked down, there was nothing. Suspicious, he crouched and picked up what felt like cloth. Another message flashed. "Night cloak has been equipped. When staying still in darkness, the user blends into the surroundings. While hidden, the user cannot be detected by magic, and all sound is suppressed." Thrilled by his new stealth ability, Seo-woon whispered to himself, "With this, I can stay alive for as long as I need." Still puzzled about the presence of a house in such an isolated location, he concluded that his luck had improved significantly on day 2. Seo-woon began wandering through the jungle, but hadn't encountered a single other player yet. Suddenly, the sound of rushing footsteps reached his ears. Someone was running. Seo-woon quickly hid in a nearby bush and activated his cloak. The runner was a heavily injured man, bloodied and panting. "If only I'd had the time to use it. That apprentice bastard would have been nothing," he muttered. Seo-woon, observing from the shadows, readied his crossbow. "He doesn't look strong. If I'm right, I can take him out," he thought. But he hesitated, trying to convince himself, "This isn't a person. It's just a game. Just shoot." Before he could act, a red-haired figure appeared out of nowhere and cast a spell. Escrow's Flame! Seo-woon narrowly dodged the fiery blast. The injured player wasn't so lucky. He screamed as the spell engulfed him, burning him alive. Stunned, Seo-woon whispered, "Did he just die?" A chest appeared where the player had been, confirming that the player was gone and reinforcing the idea that this was indeed a game. Another player, presumably the red-haired attacker, approached the chest. Thanks to the night cloak, Seo-woon remained invisible. The attacker scoffed, "Someone who couldn't even use magic dared to steal from me?" He chuckled bitterly. "Unlucky bastard. If he had just died to my sword, he wouldn't have had to suffer being burned alive." Seo-woon was amazed the cloak had kept him completely hidden. The red-haired man retrieved the loot and said with arrogance, "You should be honored to die at the hands of me, Kairon." While Kairon was inspecting the chest, Seo-woon observed quietly, thinking, "If I hesitate, I'll be the next one hunted." Just then, Seo-woon released an arrow. It struck Kairon's barrier, nearly shattering it. Startled, Kairon started casting again. Seo-woon launched a second arrow, further weakening the barrier. Chiron cursed. Damn it! My barrier will break at this rate. He launched a fireball at a tree, but Seowun wasn't there. Another arrow flew. This time, Chiron's shield broke. Panic appeared on his face. Where are you hiding, you bastard? Chiron cast another spell, but it was too late. A dagger struck him squarely in the forehead. Blood flowed from his nose. Seowun exhaled in relief. I won. Another chest appeared. Seowun muttered. If anyone sees the fire, it'll draw attention. I need to loot fast and leave. He opened the chest and stored its contents into his subspace. Among the loot, he found an escrow necklace, but upon inspection, it had no attributes. Trash item, he sighed. I'll stash it for now. Then, light radiated from another item. You have obtained Circle Stone. This stone wraps around the user's heart and grants the ability to use mana. Once used, you can learn the magic of that circle. Eyes wide with excitement, Seowun gasped. I can become a mage, just like that? He remembered what the injured man said before dying. If I had time to use it. Seowun smirked. Sorry, but I'll make good use of it in your place. He packed everything and left in search of a safe place. Seowun reached a nearby village, entered an abandoned house, and sat down. A message appeared. Will you use Circle Stone? Yes, he confirmed. The system warned him. You will be motionless for 3 hours. No items or actions can be used during this time. Pain surged through his body. Seowun clenched his teeth, suppressing the screams rising in his throat. For the next 3 hours, he endured agonizing pain and nearly lost consciousness. Finally, the process completed. Seowun sat, sweating and weak, and muttered, Learning martial arts was easy. But this... He opened his status window. Seowun now had 2 jobs and had gained mana. He checked the survivor count and was stunned. It had dropped significantly overnight. Among the names listed, one stood out, Nam Sagwang, who had killed many players. Flashback, hours earlier. Nam Sagwang stood silently atop a tree. Below, a frightened player ran for his life, screaming, Please, stop! Don't chase me! The runner tripped and collapsed. Please, let me be in the top 90. Nam Sagwang didn't respond. He approached silently as the boy cried and, without mercy, crushed his head, ending his life instantly. Day 3 began with Seowun checking the remaining player log. Only 45 players were left, and among them, one particular name caught his attention, someone he hoped he wouldn't have to face. Seowun thought to himself that if this trend continued, he might actually reach the top 10. He began imagining the rewards. Perhaps money. Or maybe a rare item. A fleeting thought crossed his mind. Would I be able to take these skills and items back to the real world once this is all over? He wanted to leave the house, but a killer was still on the loose outside. After a moment of hesitation, he decided to move soon regardless. Before leaving, Seowun decided to test a new power he had awakened. Feeling a strange force rising within him, he opened his subspace and examined the loot he had gathered last night. Among the items, he found a magic book of Windball, a spell that allowed the user to create wind spheres, the number of which increased with the user's power. Delighted by this discovery, he was prompted by the system. Do you want to use this item? Without hesitation, Seowun pressed yes, and the book began to vanish as its knowledge transferred directly into his mind. He attempted the spell for the first time. Escrow magic. Windball. A small wind sphere appeared on his fingertip. At first, he was disappointed by its size, but upon throwing it behind him, he was stunned. The tiny wind spheres weren't weak. In fact, 4 small wind balls completely destroyed the wall behind him. Seowun remarked, It's stronger than it looks. It'll definitely come in handy. Immediately after, a message popped up. You have 0 mana remaining. As time passed, restricted zones began appearing on the map, shrinking the safe area gradually. Seowun decided to continue farming near the boundary edges while it was still possible. He started moving, believing his chances of running into another player were now lower, since half of them were already gone. I need to farm quickly before the zone shrinks again, he thought. High above in a tree, someone silently observed him. an old man who watched as Seowon crossed into another area. With a quiet whisper, the old man said, "How interesting," before jumping down. Half a day passed, and Seowon finally reached a new village. However, the moment he entered, he was shocked. Chests were looted and the ground stained with blood. He suddenly felt a presence behind him and instinctively cast Windball in that direction. But no one was there. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been watching him. His eyes widened when he saw a blood trail exactly where he had attacked. It turned out there was someone. An injured player. Seowon hesitated. He considered killing them to obtain valuable loot, but chose to prioritize his own survival and left without taking anything. Inside the house, the injured player watched Seowon leave and sighed in relief. "Thank God I was quick to hide, or else I would have been killed," he whispered. He believed he could have dealt with Seowon had he not been injured. He started looting the nearby chests, planning to leave quickly. But an arrow suddenly struck him in the head, killing him instantly. The attacker was none other than Seowon, who had hidden in the shadows and waited. He had tricked the player, secured the loot, and quickly moved toward the restricted zone's edge to continue farming. Suddenly, the same old man appeared behind him and complimented Seowon's skill. Alarmed, Seowon moved away cautiously. However, the old man didn't seem hostile. Instead, he simply wanted to talk. Seowon asked, "Who are you?" The old man replied cryptically, "Would you even understand if I told you? We all come from different layers of life, after all." Seowon gave him a small smile, thinking this man was different from anyone he'd met so far. As night began to fall, the old man asked, "Have you participated in this kind of play before?" Confused, Seowon replied, "What do you mean by play?" The old man admitted he'd been watching Seowon for a while and noticed how quickly he had adapted, concluding that Seowon must already know this world wasn't real. Seowon asked how long he had been watching him. The old man said he had been following him ever since they were dropped into this world. Seowon explained that it was his first time being brought here, though he had played similar games in the world he came from. The old man asked, "Is this game like the play happening here?" Seowon suggested they move to a safer place to continue the conversation, fearing an ambush. The old man agreed but smirked and asked, "But how do you know I won't kill you?" Seowon didn't respond. Suddenly the old man grabbed him from behind and dashed through the forest silently. The two soon found themselves atop a tree, watching the massive moon above. "Is the moon in your world this big?" the old man asked. "No," Seowon replied. "It's smaller back home." "It's smaller in my world too," the old man said thoughtfully. Seowon nodded and said the world he came from was one of highly advanced civilization, where virtual spaces and games with dolls were common. People didn't actually die in those games, they were only for fun. The old man found this fascinating and commented, "Ah, so that's why you adjusted so quickly." They continued their discussion. Seowon told him about the rank system and the rewards tied to performance. The old man asked, "Even the things on your body, are those rewards too?" Seowon confirmed, saying that skills and martial arts learned here might even be taken back with them. He then asked about the Windball spell and the system window. Seowon explained how the spell worked and shared a few useful tips about the game world. In return, he listened to stories from the old man's world. Eventually, the old man jumped down with Seowon and gently set him on the ground. "This old man's taken too much of your time," he said. Seowon smiled. "Not at all. I enjoyed hearing your stories." In his heart, he thought that staying with this man might actually be the safest choice. Before leaving, the old man asked for a favor in return for all the information he had shared. Seowon, curious, asked if he could possibly learn some of the old man's martial arts. The old man smiled and replied, "I wouldn't say it's impossible." Seowon's eyes lit up with surprise, but then the old man's expression turned serious. "You must be prepared for the worst." "What do you mean by that?" Seowon asked. With a cold tone, the old man answered, "I mean death. To succeed outside the traditional means comes at a hefty price." The elder asks Seowon if he's truly prepared for that burden. Confused, Seowon replies, "But elders don't die here." The old man is taken aback, but then realizes, you're right. In that case, a forbidden method might actually be possible here. Excited, Seo-woon asks if there's truly a way to grow stronger. The old man replies cryptically, it's worth trying at least. Intrigued, Seo-woon eagerly asks what to do. The old man pats his head and says, let's first see how much inner energy you have. Seo-woon, confused, complies. But when the old man checks, he is utterly shocked. Seo-woon's inner energy is less than even his house dog's. Seo-woon then explains he's from a world without martial arts or inner energy, which helps the old man understand. He instructs Seo-woon to sit in the lotus position. Placing a hand on Seo-woon's head, the old man warns, you'll feel pain like death itself, but you won't be able to move. What should I do then? Seo-woon asks. Endure it, the old man replies coldly. If you fail, you die. Seo-woon soon experiences unimaginable agony. The wind feels like sharp blades against his skin, every breath like molten lava, and even the sound of ants crawling on grass becomes deafening. His body writhes as light erupts from his mouth and eyes. The pain is so intense, he believes he's about to die. Then, silence. His eyes snap open. It's done, the old man says. Seo-woon vomits violently as he regains consciousness. The old man is impressed with his endurance and remarks that Seo-woon has a unique disposition. He has corrected the flow of qi in his body. What now? Seo-woon asks. The old man explains. Seo-woon wanted to get strong as quickly as possible, so he's made a dangerous adjustment. He pushed Seo-woon's soul slightly aside and created an inspiratory gate, a space that allows him to absorb the life qi of others. He warns, those whose bodies are filled with others' life qi are unstable. Eventually, the harmony of their yin and yang collapses, causing death or the loss of martial arts. But the mind technique he passed on to Seo-woon, white martial physique arts, lets him absorb scattered life qi from the dead to increase inner energy. Shocked, Seo-woon asks, so, I might really die? The old man replies that Seo-woon is different. He has no existing inner energy. His body is like a blank sheet. So, the technique was tweaked to absorb life qi harmoniously. He asks Seo-woon, now do you understand why I gave you a mind technique forbidden in Zhongyuan? Seo-woon quickly connects the dots. Because of the game's setting. The old man nods, impressed by how fast Seo-woon catches on. He confirms that death leaves behind residual life qi, so in this game, the forbidden technique has immense potential. But its greatest flaw is this. To truly grow, one must kill. In order to survive, the old man says, if you eliminate others, then by the end of these 100 days, you will reach an impressive level. With that, the old man prepares to leave. Seo-woon stops him to ask his name. He replies, Jang Uchen. People call me the Deep Valley Standing Kindly. The technique I gave you is called the White Martial Physique Arts. Bowing deeply in respect, Seo-woon thanks him sincerely. Jang Uchen gives him one last piece of advice. Get used to deep breathing. Focus on accumulating inner energy at the Dan-zhon, energy core, and steadily grow stronger. He opens a map and tells Seo-woon, I'll see you again when the opportunity arises. Yes, Elder, Seo-woon whispers as Jang Ucheon dashes away with inhuman speed. Seo-woon watches in awe, realizing that if he could use Qinggong, light footwork, he too could travel with such ease. Night begins to fall. It took Seo-woon half a day to recover from his encounter with Jang Ucheon. He begins exploring the limited area. Hiding in a bush, he spots a small house with its lantern still on. It's either abandoned or a newbie who doesn't know how to turn off the light, he thinks. He rushes inside, but finds no one. Searching the home, he only finds useless items. Exhausted from lack of sleep the night before, Seo-woon sets an alarm and collapses onto the floor. Day 5. Seo-woon is jolted awake by the sound of footsteps. Someone is nearby. A shadow passes the window. Seo-woon instantly grabs his crossbow. A player walks in, groggy from sleep, only to find Seo-woon aiming straight at him. Seo-woon fires. The stranger swiftly cuts down the arrow mid-air. This is no weak player. Seo-woon opens his subspace, pulls out a knife, and channels Black Star Chi Palm. The other player is hit, but yells, "Coward! Using hidden weapons?" Seo-woon dashes in, slams him to the ground, and kicks away his sword. Grabbing another arrow, he prepares to kill. "You woke me up from a good dream," Seo-woon says coldly. The terrified player pleads, "Spare me! I'll give you everything I have," but Seo-woon doesn't hesitate. He drives the arrow into the man's head. Blood stains his hands. Seo-woon has committed his first kill. After defeating a player, Seo-woon noticed something unusual. The fallen player's chest was leaking a faint emerald light. Recalling what Elder Jang Do-cheon once told him about vitality, Seo-woon realized that this emerald light was exactly that. As he reached out, the emerald light transferred into his own hand. Almost instantly, his entire body began to glow with the same vibrant hue. Overwhelmed by a surge of energy, Seo-woon whispered to himself, "Is this the real internal energy?" Even though he had only absorbed the vitality of one person, he felt incredibly light and powerful. Curious, he quickly opened his status window. His stats had increased, and he had gained internal energy. A smile formed on his lips as he thanked Elder Jang silently for his guidance. "Even if I can't always secure kills, I must find ways to collect vitality," Seo-woon mumbled to himself. Determined to survive, he checked the survivor list. To his shock, only 24 players remained, and the game had only reached its 5th day. Someone had just been eliminated, and the same name appeared again: Nam Sagwang. The Butcher of the Battlefield. Nam Sagwang's ruthless rise. A cutaway revealed another player in terrible condition. Blood flowed from his nose and mouth as he weakly whispered, "Nam Sagwang." Moments later, his body turned into a loot chest. A looming shadow stood over it. Nam Sagwang, covered in bloodstains, appeared calm yet deadly. He opened his own survivor window. Only 22 players remained. One name caught his attention: Jin Seo-woon. "I feel like I've seen that player's name before," Nam Sagwang whispered. Meanwhile, Seo-woon muttered, "Nam Sagwang probably has the highest kill count in this game. I absolutely have to avoid that guy." Having barely survived weaker opponents, Seo-woon knew he was still far from being on Nam Sagwang's level. He looted the chest, but found only a refined troll potion. Useful, but disappointing. Seo-woon decided to camp and lay low until the survivor count dropped significantly. A week passed. On day 12, Seo-woon encountered a wolf with glowing red eyes. He fired an arrow and killed it, whispering, "You're my meal for today." Still, he wasn't pleased. He was tired of eating jerky every day. Only 20 survivors remained now. Seo-woon reached the game's border, but the moment he touched it, his hand went numb. Going outside wasn't an option. It would paralyze him. Over the past week, the kill log had repeatedly displayed one name: Nam Sagwang. Even he seemed to be hiding now, growing increasingly cautious. Seo-woon suddenly saw a huge blast in the distance. Massacre in the valley. Nam Sagwang's slaughter. Nam Sagwang stood surrounded by a group of players who had teamed up to eliminate him. Despite being slightly injured, he grinned, thankful they all came to him and saved him the trouble. "You guys want to kill me? Then I hope you're ready to die," he said coldly. He jumped into the air. One player shouted, "Don't let him escape!" But it was too late. Nam Sagwang grabbed one player's head and crushed it with a single hand. One, then another. Two. He moved like a blur, killing 3 more in an instant. It wasn't a battle. It was a massacre. The kill log confirmed it. Nam Sagwang had killed 9 players at once. Any observer would conclude, barring an unforeseen twist, Nam Sagwang was the likely winner of this game. Now drenched in blood, he complained about the sticky smell. Behind him lay several loot chests and a magical staff. He was now heading toward a hidden valley. A vow of revenge. New player. Enters the stage. Night fell. A pair of legs appeared near the valley. A man approached the staff and gasped, This is Elizabeth's staff." Rage filled his eyes. "I swear on the name of Escrow, I will avenge you." Seo Yoon's gamble. The mansion raid. Now 11 players remained. Seo Yoon, armed with a crossbow, realized he needed better equipment if he wanted to stand a chance against Nam Se-gwang. He found a large mansion. Thinking it would soon fall outside the restricted zone, he rushed in to loot it before morning. Inside, he discovered a suit of armor, but lacked the 110 strength required to wear it. While exploring further, he found a glowing bottle and book. Elixir of Insight. Increases internal energy. Cooldown. 3 hours. Secrets of the Unbreakable Fist. A powerful martial art technique. Excited, he used the elixir and added the book to his collection. In the mansion's underground warehouse, however, an explosion erupted behind him. Barely escaping, he hid in the bushes outside. The elf returns. Another challenger appears. From the smoke emerged an elf, the same one Seo Yoon had seen in the waiting room. His anger was evident. "To survive even after taking my explosion. So you didn't just get here by luck," he said, floating in the air. "Nam Se-gwang. I'll remember that name." Nam Se-gwang appeared, arm badly injured. He scoffed, "What the hell are you saying?" Then, readying his stance, he added, "If you've got time to talk crap, just attack already. My time is precious." The elf grinned and replied coldly, "Let's see how long you can keep flapping that mouth." Both smiled at each other. An intense clash was about to begin. From behind a tree, Seo Yoon watched everything unfold. So that Lu Bu-looking guy was just a kid? He thought in disbelief. "You're a very impudent brat," he said coldly. Seo Yoon, watching from a hidden spot nearby, was shocked by the overwhelming display of power surrounding the two. The air crackled with magic. The elf beside Escrow began casting a spell, chanting quickly. "Escrow, the master of incantation, I command you, cast lightning strike." With a thunderous boom, lightning launched toward Nam Se-gwang. But in a flash of movement, Nam Se-gwang leapt into the air, dodging the attack with precision. "How long are you planning to just keep dodging like that?" Escrow shouted in frustration. "Try attacking like you did to Elizabeth." He launched another powerful thunder attack, but Nam Se-gwang didn't flinch. He simply smiled, eyes gleaming. "He's not just talk," Nam Se-gwang thought. "I've never seen anything like this, even in the Central Plains. What truly terrifying power." The elf's face twisted in anger. Gritting his teeth, he muttered under his breath, "You rat-like bastard!" With a furious snarl, he raised his staff high and cast a massive thunder spell. "I'll finish you off with this, Nam Se-gwang Lightning Storm." A massive bolt of lightning surged toward Nam Se-gwang. For a moment, even he was stunned by its intensity. He narrowly dodged one thunderbolt, but more came raining down relentlessly. Yet, despite the chaos, Nam Se-gwang moved with eerie ease, dodging each bolt. Not only did he avoid the storm, he suddenly dashed through the lightning straight toward Escrow, who hovered mid-air. Nam Se-gwang struck, aiming to finish the mage, but Escrow didn't flinch. "That's not enough to break my barrier," he said calmly, swinging his staff. Nam Se-gwang appeared to be cut in half, but it was only an illusion. Seo Yoon, still hidden in the bushes, had seen it all. He was in awe. The sheer power being displayed was enough to affect the weather itself. Escrow looked around, whispering bitterly, "He's outside the range of item detection. He must have already escaped far away." Furious, he shouted, "Nam Se-gwang, I will catch you and kill you." Meanwhile, far away, Nam Se-gwang collapsed behind a hill, bloodied and barely standing. Despite his injuries, he looked up at the sky and whispered, "I underestimated him. But next time, I'll kill him with my own hands." He retreated, disappearing to recover in secret. Back in the bushes, Seo Yoon continued observing. Escrow scanned the surroundings, then descended to the ground and vanished. "The only reason I wasn't caught," Must be thanks to the invisibility click, Seowon thought. Once the area was safe, Seowon stood up and muttered, "Both of them won't come here for some time." After some searching, he found a hidden underground bunker. Pushing open the heavy gate, he looked inside. It was deep, dark, and quiet. With a faint smile, he whispered, "Let's go in for now. Doesn't look like anyone's been here yet." Using the lamp he'd scavenged from an abandoned house days ago, Seowon descended into the bunker. "It's just a food storage," he muttered, slightly disappointed. His stomach growled loudly. 1 hour later, lying comfortably, Seowon smiled. That was a good meal. It was his first proper food in 2 weeks. He felt satisfied, but still craved some rice. He decided it was time to use the elixir. He opened his subspace storage and pulled out a mysterious book he had taken from the mansion. The system activated and explained. This is a fist-fighting technique created in his later years by a man named Manhwa. He devoted his life to creating a technique that would never lose. However, with a record of 1,429 wins and 1,429 losses, he was mocked all his life. The martial art eventually vanished due to having no disciples. Seowon stared at the book in disbelief. "Why did I have to pick up something like this?" he groaned. Choosing to delay practicing it, he pulled out the elixir instead and drank it. Almost immediately, a rush of mana filled his lower abdomen. "It's nothing compared to the amount I absorbed earlier," he murmured. Then, without warning, his body locked up. His movements grew sluggish. As expected, "I can't move for 3 hours," he whispered, collapsing to the ground. 3 hours later, Seowon finally stood up again, exhausted. "To think I've been hiding in this forest all week. And today, it was both the Great Mage and Nam Sagwang. It's amazing I survived it all." He fell asleep in the bunker. Day 13. Seowon emerged from the bunker, stretching. He checked the player log and saw that someone had been eliminated during the night. Then he saw something shocking. Elder Jang Do-cheon had killed himself. Could it be? Seowon thought. Knowing there was no risk of death, did he try some crazy training method? Being in the top 10 felt good, but not like this. He checked the zone tracker. The safe zone was shrinking fast, and it was right behind him. "I need to get out of here," he muttered and started sprinting, hoping to avoid combat for as long as possible. But suddenly, a fireball flew toward him. He dodged just in time, rolling across the ground. Where the hell did that come from? He looked up and was stunned. The fireball had been cast by none other than Escrow. Escrow hadn't come for Seowon. He was after Nam Sagwang. But his item detection had picked up something unusual nearby, and now he was staring at a face he'd never seen before. Seowon had moved recklessly, relying on his newfound inner energy and forgetting to stay alert. Idiot. He cursed himself. Escrow narrowed his eyes. "By any chance, do you know where a guy named Nam Sagwang is?" His tone sharpened. "If you don't know, then you'll have to die here." Just then, someone hiding behind a tree. A slow smile spread across his face, sweat dripping from his brow. It was Nam Sagwang. Escrow, with a sharp and threatening voice, declared to Seowon, "The only way for you to live is to tell me the location of Nam Sagwang. If you don't know, I'll have no choice but to kill you." Seowon, clearly frightened, whispered back, "What are you saying? You've just met me. How would I even know that?" But before Escrow could respond, Nam Sagwang suddenly appeared behind him and launched a powerful punch at Escrow's shield. Though the shield absorbed the impact, Escrow was taken aback, wondering if Sagwang had been hiding all along. Smiling with a confident and mocking expression, Nam Sagwang remarked, "I'm already fully recovered. Aren't you running low on mana?" Seowon stood stunned, questioning in his mind. Where did he come from again? Nam Sagwang then launched a second punch, but Escrow blocked it using his staff. Calmly, Escrow whispered, "Such a simple attack can't possibly harm me." But what Escrow didn't realize was that this punch wasn't ordinary. Nam Sagwang grinned and said, "Ever heard of Gangnam-style martial arts? Among them, Sugang is a technique only a few have mastered. I didn't think I'd need to use it in this world." Suddenly, Escrow became the first victim of this rare technique. Nam Saguang's hand pierced Escrow's neck, sealing his ability to cast any more spells. Mockingly, Saguang said, "Someone of your caliber could have easily been in the top 5. You'll regret ever meeting me." From a distance, Seowon observed the battle, and considered himself lucky that Nam Saguang appeared when he did. He thought it might be best to escape while they were both distracted. But just as he turned to run, he saw Nam Saguang stab Escrow again, this time violently. Escrow screamed in agony, blood pouring from his mouth like a fountain. Watching the great archmage Escrow fall so miserably, a strange thought crept into Seowon's mind, one that even overshadowed his fear and pity. What if I could absorb their life force? How much stronger could I become? Escrow lay in a pool of his own blood. Nam Saguang mocked him, asking if he had any last words. Escrow, with blank eyes, began to speak, not aloud, but within his mind, directed at Saguang. He remembered Elizabeth, his most cherished disciple, killed by Nam Saguang. He recalled how the academic society never accepted her, how she was expelled from university just for being a girl. He deeply regretted not standing up for her. Hearing this, Saguang laughed cruelly and said, "A girl? Then maybe she looked too much like a man for me to notice." Escrow, smiling faintly, replied in his mind, "Then now, I can shut that filthy mouth of yours." Saguang became serious. "What did you just say?" he demanded. Just then, a massive meteor fell from the sky. Saguang, shocked, asked in disbelief, "How the hell did he cast a spell? He has no mana left." Escrow answered with his final strength, "The last spell an archmage can use, in exchange for all their mana and life force, is Armageddon." Saguang turned to flee, cursing Escrow. At the same time, Seowon also ran, muttering to himself, "I should have escaped earlier." As the meteor descended, Escrow looked up and gave his final words. "Elizabeth, it was good to see you again. I hope we meet again someday." The meteor crashed into the ground with a devastating impact, incinerating Escrow's body and leaving only a mysterious chest behind. Far away, someone witnessed the explosion and whispered, "If he could cast magic of that level, there's only one person it could be." When the smoke cleared, Seowon was seen lying in blood, cursing himself for not fleeing sooner. He opened his subspace inventory and pulled out healing scrolls he had saved, tearing them one by one to restore his health. Though the healing worked, the pain still lingered. Now fully healed, but with all his scrolls exhausted, Seowon checked the system's survivor log. It showed that Nam Saguang had killed Escrow, but oddly, it didn't confirm Nam Saguang's own death. Suddenly, Seowon heard a voice pleading for help. Following the sound, he discovered Nam Saguang lying on the ground with both his arms and legs severed. Blood flowed like a river, and a healing scroll hung from his mouth, one he couldn't use. Seeing Seowon, Nam Saguang begged, "Help me. Tear the scroll. Please," Seowon asked. You're Nam Saguang, right?" Saguang was shocked to hear his own name. Seowon thought to himself, "This guy must be incredibly powerful to have taken down so many players." Saguang shouted, "If you help me just this once, I'll make you the winner. Making someone win is nothing to me. You really think you can win this game alone?" Seowon calmly pulled out a knife from his subspace and replied with a grave tone, "I'll become the Lu Bu of this game." For the first time, Nam Saguang showed fear. "You won't survive this game alone!" he screamed. Seowon, standing firm, declared, "My name is Jin Seowon." Nam Saguang shouted one last time, "Even if I die this time, I won't forget you, Jin Seowon." Seowon drove the knife into his head, killing him instantly. As the life drained from Nam Saguang's body, Seowon felt a wave of guilt. Saguang, in that moment, had looked more like a helpless child than a warrior. But then it came, a massive surge of power. The life force he absorbed overwhelmed him. A smile crept across his face as internal energy coursed through his veins. The system announced, only 8 out of 100 players remain. Jin Seowon has killed Nam Saguang. Elsewhere, players who had seen the meteor impact from afar whispered ominously, Now that the tiger is dead, the foxes will run rampant. Seowun's internal energy surged to overflowing levels. With this much power, he knew he could hold his ground against anyone. He then checked Namsa Guang's storage box. Upon opening it, Seowun was shocked by the treasures inside. Among the items were Heiser Ring, massively increased agility; Dremmer Ring, massively increased strength; Galen's Ring, massively increased stamina; Toka Ring, massively increased magic resistance. And there were many more rare and powerful items within. Seowun muttered under his breath, "This bastard. He's been farming a ton of rare items, hasn't he? And then he talks trash like he's not relying on his gear. What a jerk." He opened his own status window and saw that his stats were now remarkable. A confident smile formed on his face as he shouted, "At this rate, victory is absolutely guaranteed." Besides the rings, he also found several books. Unfortunately, he couldn't learn any of their contents at the moment. Suddenly, Seowun sensed a presence nearby. A voice shouted, "Escrow Core! Fire strike!" And a powerful fireball shot toward him. The attacker mocked him, saying he shouldn't be so clueless while farming. But when the smoke cleared, Seowun stood unharmed, like an unshakable rock. The attacker's eyes widened in shock. Seowun smirked and whispered, "I thought I saw something flash." His magic resistance had now reached 90. Stepping forward, he closed the distance. The attacker grew nervous and told him to back off. He cast another spell, unleashing more flames, but Seowun quietly muttered, "Peerless, first chapter, 1." Within the blazing inferno, Seowun advanced and struck with a straight, severing fist. Blood spurted from the man's mouth as his body slammed against a nearby tree, lifeless. Amazed at his own power, Seowun checked the man's storage box. Then he muttered, "Now that Namsa Guang is dead, all the onlookers will crawl out. Tonight's going to be long." With a burst of speed, he dashed away, a satisfied smile on his face. He silently thanked his elder and promised, "I will definitely win." Night soon fell. An hour later, Seowun sat in a tree, using his cloak of night. Suddenly, someone shouted from below, "Hey Jin! Seowun! Don't hide! Let's play together!" The voice continued, "Jihark was a pretty useful mage, you know. If you're not a coward, fight like a man." A grin spread across the player's face as he taunted, "What? Is Seowun scared of me?" Suddenly, a powerful arrow flew at him. He blocked it with his sword and shouted, "Come out and fight fair and square, you bastard!" The source of the arrow remained hidden from Seowun, but the other player recognized it immediately. From the top of a tree, the archer revealed himself, Jurakwana. The other player called out, "Do you know me?" The man replied, "No? Isn't it obvious? The fame of the divine archer Jurakwana is already legendary among us mercenaries. Isn't your goal to win this competition?" The man proposed they join forces to take down Seowun. Jurakwana smiled and leapt from the tree. The player introduced himself. "Good judgment. My name is Stanko. I'm a mercenary in the guild. Even if I don't look like it, I'm quite well known. You won't regret this." Jurakwana simply replied, "Understood." Privately, Stanko scoffed, thinking, "They say he's a divine archer, but his head must be completely useless." Meanwhile, Jurakwana calculated silently. "Did I misjudge the timing? 2 seconds. No, about 1 second." Stanko warned, "An archer shouldn't make the mistake of giving distance." He prepared to strike, but Jurakwana stood completely calm. In the next moment, an arrow pierced straight through Stanko's head. Without another word, Jurakwana turned and walked away, muttering, "Me? Cooperate with a minion like you? Even a passing dog would laugh. Finding Seowun is the priority." Behind him, Seowun emerged and absorbed Stanko's internal energy. Jurakwana turned back and noticed Seowun's storage box. To Seowun's shock, Jurakwana could see him even while he was cloaked. Seowun realized he had been so focused on his vitality that he had overextended himself. Jurakwana muttered dismissively, "He's trash anyway. Probably only has trash items." Then he turned and walked away. Seowun let out a relieved sigh and whispered, He has surprisingly good instincts. It seems my next opponent will be that guy. The zone was closing in on Seowon. He dashed toward the safe area, noting that only 6 players remained. Yet there were still 87 days left in the match. Confused, he questioned internally whether the zone was shrinking according to the number of players left. A little farther ahead, Seowon spotted a wide-open area. He thought to himself that encountering an enemy here would draw too much attention from others. Suddenly, countless magical arrows came flying toward him. He saw them just in time and dodged at the last moment. When he looked up, the sky was filled with magical aura. Only a second later, another wave of arrows was launched at him, far too many to dodge at once. Trusting in his internal energy, Seowon used his martial art technique from Chapter 1, Extreme Strength Punch, to deflect every arrow. He was amazed by his own power. Jumping into the air to scan the area, he was shocked to find no one in sight. However, behind a tree a little distance away, another player was watching. That player had poured all his mana into the arrow barrage, yet Seowon had countered it with ease. Before either could act, a sudden flash of steel appeared, a knife driven into the archer's chest. The victim, shocked that he hadn't sensed his attacker, turned to see an assassin standing there. The assassin calmly advised, "Always save some mana after a fight, buddy." He then told the dying player to go peacefully. With the archer eliminated, only 5 players remained. Seowon landed back on the ground. The assassin looked at him and said, "You must be Jin Seowon, right?" Seowon, standing directly in front of him, asked, "You know me?" "Of course," the assassin replied. "Aren't you the one who eliminated that monster Namsa Guang, the public enemy? Every remaining survivor is probably desperate to catch you." Seowon felt a flicker of surprise but didn't show it. The assassin continued, "Don't show off. Just die peacefully." He dashed forward, weapon ready. Coldly, Seowon also charged at him. The assassin called him slow and slashed his arm, leaving a deep injury despite Seowon reinforcing it with internal energy. Still, multiple cuts formed. "But your death is only a matter of time," the assassin said coldly. "I've never failed an assassination in such darkness." Seowon was slightly shocked. He had mostly fought mages before, but now he was up against an assassin. Darkness? He thought, wondering about the assassin's abilities. The assassin drank a potion and whispered, "Now I'll finish you." Then, he vanished into the air. Holding his wounded arm, Seowon muttered, He disappeared." But the assassin had reappeared right behind him. At the last moment, Seowon also vanished, using stealth himself. The assassin was shocked to see Seowon use such a technique. A moment later, Seowon appeared behind him and grabbed his arm tightly, causing the man to scream in pain. The assassin offered to work together, but the moment Seowon heard the proposal, he cut the man in half. Now only 4 players remained. Seowon sighed in relief, absorbing the life energy of his last 2 victims and using their healing scrolls to recover. Given the commotion, he looted quickly and tried to escape the area. On the assassin's body, he found a scroll of spirit, which would allow him to create his own clone, the number depending on his internal energy. When the system asked if he wanted to learn it, he accepted. He also found a magic book called Carmen's Eyes, granting him the ability to see anyone in stealth mode. As he was reading it, an arrow suddenly flew toward him, giving him a slight cut. Looking in the direction it came from, he saw many more arrows incoming. Shocked at the barrage, it was too late to dodge. He channeled all his internal energy into his fist and again used Extreme Strength Punch, deflecting the arrows. But then, 2 attacks came at him simultaneously. Suspecting a joint attack, he sensed someone rushing in and quickly dodged. A man with a sword appeared, forcing Seowon to back off and think, "Damn it, it's a 3-person party." The 3 players stood before him. King of Hersen, Senturk Demon King's right hand, Gyron Divine Archer, Zurokana. They declared that Seowon's luck had ended here. Seowon thought grimly, shit. What do I do now? Seowon observed the 3 enemies before him and thought of the fastest way to break up their alliance. His idea was simple. Create a situation where they would have no choice but to betray each other. The problem was that he didn't know their motives or interests. He had never seen them before in his life. Gairon leaped down from a cliff and greeted the other man, saying, "Your Majesty, King of Carson, it is an honor to meet you." Senturk, speaking with pride, replied, "How dare a mere black mage speak to the king?" Gairon apologized for his rudeness, then proposed teaming up for better rewards. Meanwhile, Seowon was already planning an escape route. Senturk noticed him activating his stealth ability and ordered Gairon to deal with him. "This will be a piece of cake," Gairon said confidently. He raised his hand, and a bright light filled the area, so intense that Seowon could barely see. A massive sphere of light formed above, erasing every shadow. Without darkness to hide in, Seowon's stealth became useless. Senturk praised Gairon for his strategy, while Seowon was shocked to see such a countermeasure. Gairon then thanked Namsaguang for killing Escrow, who had been a thorn in his side. Smiling, he whispered to Seowon, "Die," and unleashed a devastating spell, Chaos Blade Storm. Seowon felt a wave of fear. If he got too close, the magic would sweep him away. Still, he dashed forward, but Gairon launched the attack. "Foolish brute, just die," Gairon shouted. Seowon charged directly into the storm, circulating his internal energy to minimize the damage. The impact was severe. His cloak of stealth was destroyed, a system message informing him it had lost all function until repaired. In pain, Seowon thought, "Damn it. The internal energy around my body is breaking." Gairon, convinced of victory, said proudly, "At this rate, he must have been torn to shreds with no trace left." But Seowon was far from dead. Emerging from the storm, blood on his face, he used Severing Fist. Chapter 1. Straight Cut Fist to break through. Gairon didn't falter. Smiling, he mocked, "You foolish brat. You have no chance of winning. Give up." Then he unleashed another spell, Chaos Deadman's Hands, as spectral hands rose from the ground to grab Seowon. Seowon realized this opponent was on a completely different level from any mage he had faced before. Clenching his fists, he used Spirit Illusion Steps, shocking Gairon with his ability to use illusion magic. In a flash, Seowon appeared right in front of him. Before either could act, Senturk whispered, "Piercing Aura," and suddenly slashed at Gairon, cutting his neck. "What is this?" Gairon shouted in anger. "A king doing something so vile?" Senturk replied coldly. "There is no justification except victory. I never said I would collaborate with a wretch like you." He then killed Gairon without hesitation. Turning to the last remaining opponent, Senturk muttered, "Now only two remain. Divine Archer Zurukana, you were always a headache for our army. Strange that we should meet in a duel." Zurukana smiled faintly and said, "It doesn't seem like it will just be the two of us yet." "What are you talking about?" Senturk asked. At that moment, Seowon appeared right behind him, delivering a deadly punch that sent Senturk crashing into a wall. Breathing heavily, Seowon. Finally, top two. Zurukana was surprised. He had thought Seowon had been killed by Senturk's sword, but it was all an illusion. "Stop talking and come at me," Seowon challenged. Zurukana grinned. "It seems that person has business with you before me, doesn't he?" Senturk, still alive but badly injured, cursed Seowon for using such unpleasant tricks. Standing up, he swore, "You'll regret making me fight at my best." In an instant, he disappeared, his speed shocking Seowon. Senturk reappeared and stabbed Seowon's right hand. "Looks like you need both hands to use your strange techniques," he said. In pain and barely able to sense his chi, Seowon gritted his teeth. It's too early to give up, he thought. Trusting his internal energy, he used it to cut Senturk's sword in half with his bare hand. Senturk was stunned, but immediately attacked again. This time, Seowon used Black Annihilation Hand, wounding Senturk's face. "How dare you wound my face?" Senturk shouted in rage. Seowon quickly ripped open a healing scroll, restoring his injuries. Senturk charged again, this time with Aura Blade, a move he acknowledged using only for worthy opponents. With both hands healed, Seowon activated Spirit Illusion Steps, full internal energy release, summoning countless clones. Senturk showed no fear. "Victory will always be mine," he declared. From the cliffside, Zurokana yawned and said lazily, "Hurry up and finish this." A system message appeared. Only 3 players remain. Seo Woon created several clones, declaring, "From now on, I'll truly face you." Senturk replied coldly, "Stop chattering and just attack, Jin Seo Woon." In his mind, Senturk calculated, Aura Blade's maximum duration is only 2 minutes. I must finish this before it runs out. Seo Woon, however, was also aware that his internal energy was nearly depleted. Senturk dashed toward him, swinging his sword, but failed to strike the real body. Instead, Seo Woon appeared behind him and delivered a palm strike. Senturk spun around and swung again, only to find that it was a clone, intangible in his grasp. The next instant, the real Seo Woon landed a powerful punch from the side. Senturk staggered, shocked. So that was the main body. "Do you like the taste of my punch?" Seo Woon taunted. Senturk's expression darkened, anger mixing with surprise. Seo Woon then warned, "Stop trying to find the main body. Every clone from Spirit Illusion Steps can attack just like me." One of Seo Woon's clones launched Severing Fist. Chapter 1. Straight cut kick up, but Senturk dodged and countered with Piercing Aura, slashing through the clone, which disappeared instantly. "The durability of your clones is terrible," Senturk mocked. 5 more clones appeared, but there was only about a minute left before Aura Blade's time expired. Watching from a distance, Zurokana whispered to himself, "I didn't expect Senturk to struggle this much." Senturk, now feeling the pressure, shouted for Zurokana's help, but Zurokana only smirked and called out, "Watch out!" In that moment, Seo Woon closed in from the front. Senturk swung his sword, but Seo Woon dodged and countered with Severing Fist aimed at Senturk's chest. Senturk blocked with his sword and immediately launched a counter thrust, stabbing at Seo Woon's chest, only to find it was another clone. "This is truly humiliating," Senturk whispered, his voice filled with frustration. "You're toying with me." Then he roared, "I don't care about winning anymore. I'll use all my strength to rip you apart, Jin Seo Woon." From the sidelines, Zurokana muttered under his breath, "Is the Emperor of Madness being revived?" Senturk charged a massive attack. "Avoid this if you can," he shouted. He dashed forward, cutting down 2 clones in an instant. Now only the main body and 1 last clone remained. Seo Woon and his remaining clone attacked together with fists. Senturk dodged the first strike but failed to evade the second, coughing up blood from the impact. Still, he stabbed his opponent, but it was only the last clone. Now facing the real Seo Woon, Senturk pointed his sword and said, "With this one clash, I'll end everything." Both fighters were exhausted, yet they dashed toward each other. Their attacks collided. Senturk grinned, "You're quite good fighting unarmed, but let's see if you can block this. Aura Blade, lightning form." A blade of pure aura shot from his sword, striking Seo Woon. The attack cut deep into Seo Woon's leg, and pain shot through him as he fell to the ground. Senturk smiled at the sight. Seo Woon tried to speak, warning, "This only benefits Zurokana." But Senturk ignored him and drove his sword straight into Seo Woon's chest. Finally, Senturk ended his aura blade, believing he had killed him. Breathing heavily, Senturk felt something wrong. "Why, don't I feel any impact in my hand?" A shadow appeared behind him, Seo Woon. In an instant, he crushed Senturk's head, killing him. System message: only 2 players remain. Zurokana smiled, impressed. "You actually won. I didn't expect that," he said, thanking Seo Woon for an amazing fight. Then he aimed his bow directly at him. Seo Woon met his gaze, tense. Zurokana smirked. "In the end, the king poured all his strength into someone like you, just because of his competitive spirit. Now, go and die by my hand." He loosed an arrow. Seo Woon's eyes widened, shocked by the speed of the incoming shot. Seo Woon had already absorbed all of Kenturk's internal energy. It wasn't as much as Namsa Guang's, but the vitality was still considerable, enough to face Zurokana head-on. The moment Zurokana's arrow shot toward him, Seo-woon twisted his body and dodged, activating immeasurable steps. His form split into multiple clones, each leaping toward Zurokana from different angles. Even Zurokana's eyes widened in surprise, but his grin soon returned. He loosed another arrow. The shot cut into Seo-woon's leg, sending pain shooting up his body. Seo-woon's footing faltered, and both he and his clones tumbled off the cliff. Zurokana followed, landing effortlessly below. Seeing Seo-woon writhing in pain, he smiled coldly. "I'll have to make sure you can't escape." "No!" Seo-woon shouted, but Zurokana's next arrow pierced his hand. A scream tore from Seo-woon's throat. How are you finding the real body?" he demanded through gritted teeth. With a smug grin, Zurokana replied, "Just a gut feeling." Seo-woon lay on the ground, his body trembling from the pain, while Zurokana calmly aimed his bow at Seo-woon's head. "I respect your effort. Coming this far," Zurokana said. "Respect my ass." "Give it to the dogs," Seo-woon spat back. Zurokana let the arrow fly. It struck true. System message. Zurokana has killed Jin Seo-woon. Zurokana lowered his bow. "Is it over?" he muttered, as the world around them began to drain into black and white. Seo-woon's vision shifted. He now stood before a massive TV-like screen, displaying his progress. "System, congratulations. You are among the final 2 players." Seo-woon blinked in surprise. "Final 2? Then, what's the next game?" The system's calm voice explained the rules: killings, points, and rewards. He had earned 140 reward coins. "What can I do with these coins?" Seo-woon asked. A shop window appeared before him, listing every item he'd encountered in the game. His eyes immediately locked onto Spirit Illusion Steps. 130 coins. "If I buy this, all my coins will be gone," he muttered. Before he could decide, the system added, "As one of the last 5 survivors, you have the chance to spin the roulette and draw a rare item. Your final ranking is 3rd place. You get 3 spins." A small smile tugged at Seo-woon's lips. "If I'm lucky, I'll get the Cloak of Invisibility or Spirit Illusion Steps." The gacha wheel began to spin. "Stop!" he shouted, only to see it land on Askro Necklace. His face darkened. "Why this?" He still had 1 spin left. "Please, gods, Buddha, anyone," he prayed, and spun again. This time, Spirit Illusion Steps. Seo-woon's eyes widened in joy. The system confirmed the acquisition and handed him the technique without taking his coins. "You saved me," he whispered. After finishing his shopping, the system's voice returned. "Well done. Good luck in the next game." When Seo-woon opened his eyes again, he was back in the real world. The ring of subspace he had purchased was on his hand. "It's not a dream," he murmured. He picked up his bag and started walking, a small smile on his face. "My first game is over. On the surface, nothing much has changed. But..." He glanced at his ring. "I clearly heard it. There will be a next game." A steely light filled his eyes. "I'll be ready. And this time, I'll win." Returning to his apartment, he dropped his bag on the chair and sat in a lotus position. Unlike in the game, his dungeon felt completely empty. Did I spend all my internal energy in that last battle? He recalled Elder's words. Generally, internal energy is accumulated through chukki. Now that your dungeon has formed, focus there and you will naturally gather chi. Elder, if I just keep training, can I become as strong as you? The Elder's laughter echoed in his mind. Whether you're a useless wren or a baby stork, I wouldn't know. Seo-woon inhaled deeply. This time, he could sense the flow of chi around him. 4 hours had passed. Seo-woon was still sitting cross-legged in his apartment, trying to gather internal energy. The amount he managed to accumulate was pitiful, barely a trickle. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open. He grabbed his chest, whispering under his breath, "It's so different from the game. At this rate, it'll take years to build up enough." He reached into his ring of subspace and pulled out the Book of Iron-Free Fist. "If only I had more useful martial arts techniques than this," he muttered. The thought of training for years just to fill his donjon made his shoulders slump. Then, "System, would you like to learn this technique?" Seo-woon froze. The game system works here too?" Before he could question it further, a blinding light burst from his room. Moments later, Seo-woon found himself with the iron-free fist fully imprinted in his mind. Even so, without a full reserve of internal energy, the power felt incomplete. Opening his subspace again, he pulled out the Astro necklace he had gotten from the roulette. Out of curiosity, he bit it. His eyes widened. "This weight, it's got to be worth at least 10 million won." A grin spread across his face. "If I had 10 more of these, I'd be filthy rich." He rummaged through his inventory and found another useless item, one that granted the player a guaranteed year of good health. He tapped his chin. "If I sell this to terminally ill rich people, I could make a fortune." The possibilities swirled in his head. This could be more than survival. It could be an incredible opportunity. His stomach suddenly growled. In the game, all I had was jerky. A short while later, Seo-woon sat at a restaurant, ordering a simple set meal. When the steaming bowl of rice arrived, he took one bite, and tears welled up in his eyes. An elderly woman, the restaurant's owner, came over. Now, young man, don't cry. You're a man, aren't you?" Seo-woon, embarrassed, said between bites, "It's just so delicious." "Thank you, Grandma." "Ha! Stop fooling around and clean your plate. Tell me if you need more," she said, patting his shoulder. As he ate, Seo-woon thought, as expected, the time spent in the game doesn't affect reality. When he finished, he thanked her again. "All right, boy, come again, and stop whining next time," she replied with a chuckle. Later that day, he remembered something else he had bought. Pulling out the Ring of Strength, he wondered, will the stat bonuses work the same way here? The moment he put it on, his body felt light, overflowing with energy. He crouched and leapt into the air, landing easily. "Oh my God, my body's overflowing with power," he gasped, glancing around to make sure no one saw. If all the items worked in reality like they did in the game, then he had originally planned to slowly build up internal energy before using the next item, but temptation won. From his subspace, he retrieved the Elixir of Inner Sight, the most expensive item he'd bought. In the game, drinking it meant 3 hours of agony, feeling like fire was burning you from the inside. Without hesitation, he drank it. A surge of unbearable heat roared through his body. Light spilled from his mouth, and he dropped the empty bottle. 3 hours later, steam was pouring from Seo-woon's room. A neighbor banged on the door, panicked. "I can't even touch the handle, it's too hot," she told the 2 policemen who arrived. "Don't worry, ma'am, we'll handle it," one officer assured her. But when they tried to open the door, even they couldn't touch the handle. "Jin Seo-woon, this is the police. Are you all right? Please open the door." No answer. "If you're in there, answer us. We're here to help." Finally, the door creaked open. "Who are you?" Seo-woon asked weakly, stepping out. His face was flushed red, his clothes soaked in sweat. "I just turned the boiler a bit too high," he explained. "If there was a fire, you should call 119, not the police." One officer frowned. "I think we should call you an ambulance instead. It's just a simple cold. I'll be fine after some rest," Seo-woon said. Reluctantly, the police left, telling the neighbor, "Please don't call us for something so trivial next time." She still looked shaken. Seo-woon shut the door behind him and exhaled. "That almost killed me. Without the White Supreme Banquet technique, he wouldn't have survived." Still dripping with sweat, he muttered, "It's more dangerous to use this stuff in reality than in the game." He tried out the Fist of Nothingness, 10,000 defeat palm, accidentally obliterating his chair. "Great. Now I have to buy a new one after I sell some items." The next day, he went to the park to exercise. He planned to train until sunset, but trouble found him first. A group of bullies wandered in, a girl with them. "Did Minsik Oppa really say he wanted to see me?" the girl asked. Yes, yes, stop asking, you crazy woman, Dongjun replied. An elderly man nearby called out, Hey students, this mountain is a non-smoking area, and don't you think it's wrong to smoke at your age? Dongjun scoffed. My own parents don't say anything, so who are you, old man? Go to hell. The old man frowned. Then it must be a flaw in your upbringing. What did you say, old stone? Dongjun barked, stepping forward to hit him. Seo-woon, who had been watching from a distance, felt a bad premonition. In a flash, he was there, kicking Dongjun back before the blow could land. No matter how rude you are, you shouldn't attack an elder, Seo-woon said coldly. At that moment, Mimisik appeared. Well, I don't think we've met before, he said with a smirk. Do you want to die? Seo-woon's eyes narrowed. Looks like things are about to get really troublesome.